Twisted Tales.
Twisted Tales. Twisted Tales. Blood and bones and unknown trails. Twisted Tales. Who got teeth that drags their nails? Urban riding, back road sin. Dead men talking through the wind. Cursed objects kill a law. Once you hear it, you want more. No fairy dust, no happy end. Just how the nightmare really went. Turn it up, don't ask why. This ain't stories, this is true to life.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a special 4th of July week edition of Twisted Tales. I'm Jeremy Cotter, and I'm bringing to you tonight my special guest. She is the CEO of All Access Network Television. She is also a fourth-generation psychic, as well as a teacher of holistic things and an author as well, and a TV star. Miss Leitreanna Terry Brown, come on the show.
Hey, that was a great intro. Holy Moses. Thank you.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. You know, I know we've been talking about doing this for some time now, and better time than any. Granted, it's like the surface of the sun hot everywhere you go these days. And, you know, this definitely, hey, Jason, how you doing this side, buddy? So, you know, I like to start off the show just in case. I mean, I know you've been doing this for a long time, but just in case some of my listeners haven't had a chance to know about some of the origins of how you got involved in the paranormal.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, I've been asked that a lot. Hey, Jeremy, thanks for watching. But I'm going to tell you how it really, this is transparency at its finest. My grandmother had gifts. My great grandmother had gifts. Dad had his own gifts. Mom had her gifts. And I'm thinking, is this going to work for me? You know, am I going to be able to do this? And so my grandma took me aside and said, okay, you're at this age now. This might start to happen, you know, and she was always there for me when something bad happened. Not because she was my grandma, but because, hey, Morgan, but because, and Michael Culp, thanks for watching. But because she said that when bad things happen, God gives you grace. That's the way she would put it. And she would stand by the scripture that's God won't give you anything that you can't handle. Well, her belief was that these gifts come to you when you're going through a really rough time, because that way you can handle it. It develops from pain. And the way she described that to me, I remember it frightened me. It really did, because I was like, I don't want to go through pain for this. You know, but I was a kid. You know, I was still trying to learn to tie my shoes.
Right.
So I didn't really understand it all. But she told me what I might experience and see and feel. And just as soon as she told me what I might experience, she started praying that I would have an experience with my angel.
Uh-huh.
Because she thought that would be better than just, you know, a paranormal thing.
Right.
And sure enough, that's what happened. It was
That's pretty
beautiful. And it scared Mom. And I think it kind of scared Mama Jenny. And when it was my turn and my kids were having that experience, I know it scared me. I took my last $12 and put gas in my car, and I drove home to my mom.
Wow.
Me.
That's
You know,
amazing.
I mean, I had my kid in her playpen and she's throwing her toys out, and then all of a sudden she's holding the toy again. And here I am cooking, you know, going back, trying to see what the heck's going on with her, stirring my pot, stretching, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm looking and she just threw that toy and said bye-bye, and it's in her hand. And so, yeah, I realized the house was haunted and I couldn't hear it. And why couldn't I hear it? What is it saying to my kid that it couldn't say to me? So it started a whole thing, Jeremy. I really was frightened because I didn't know what they wanted with my daughter. But when the shoe was on the other foot, I could do it myself. I can do it myself. So, I mean, it came full circle. And that's the way it came with my great grandmother, my grandmother, my mom, and me.
Yeah.
It's been a beautiful thing. And then dad had something altogether different, but it just got passed down. But at least we all held hands and worked together to try to figure it out. I mean,
That's really amazing. It's
and I do think that it got stronger as everybody got on the same page and there was not, we didn't worry about, people, the naysayers and stuff, because we
right.
supported each other. We just didn't talk about it outside the home because people are stupid.
Some people don't. People don't. Sometimes they don't want to understand, or sometimes they're afraid of things that they don't understand, so they kind of look at you
That's
oddly,
it.
or whatever. And 5 generations is an amazing accomplishment. It is really cool.
Mhm.
You know. Yeah. So basically, so you've been tied to the metaphysical plane now for 5 generations, and obviously you're the
Oh,
fourth.
yeah.
And when was your first actual experience with like a spirit, like an actual like ghost? Like when was your first experience with an actual spirit?
Oh, it was so enchanting.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so here's the setup. It was the 70s, and my grandmother was driving a Pacer. Remember those? It was like a
Yes,
pregnant
I
roller
do.
skate.
Oh yes, I do. Hmm.
And so she picked me up from elementary school, and it was my mom and Mama Jenny, and they picked me up, and I had my roller skates in the back. I was sitting in the back of the car. It looked like I was sitting in a fishbowl. And I was talking about I needed something for my skates, and I wanted to go get some penny candy from the corner grocery store. And I live in a small town, right? And we have two red lights, and we still had the family-owned little grocery store that had penny candy and things. And
Right.
he was a butcher and all of that. So I wanted to go there. But then I mentioned to Mama Jenny that I had seen someone outside my bedroom window and she was shiny and then I could see through her. And so Mama Jenny's like, Judy, did you hear that? And so they're talking and I'm ignoring them because I'm scraping the wheels on on my skates. And then she said something about, well, what did you see? And I said she was wearing all white. And I said, I've heard about the lady in white, and I heard you investigated it with your mother. And, what was that like? And she did a U-turn and went straight to that grocery store, parked, told me to get out of the car. And I thought, oh, Lord, I'm in trouble. And she said, you want a penny candy? Come on, let's go. And she got enough cheese to make a cheese pie,
Yeah.
a cheese pie. And so we were doing our thing in there, and I had my little brown bag, and I was getting my penny candy. And she said, Herbert, I'd like for you to tell Lee about the lady in white. And his face went completely white. He said, Jenny, I can't do that. She's a little girl. I said, I want you to tell her, don't treat her that way just because she's a child. She's asked, and I want you to tell her. Never forget that as long as I live. And I think from that moment, I was taught to treat children not like they're kids. Don't talk baby talk to them. Don't
Right.
hide things from them. I mean, you can smooth things out a little bit for them. You don't have to scare the, crap out of them.
Right.
But still, when they're able to see spirits, it's your responsibility to teach them, not to tell them you don't see what you think you see, that kind of stuff. And so, she made me respect her right away,
Yeah.
where other people would be afraid. She wasn't afraid to tell me those things. And so I asked him questions and she kind of looked at him, eyebrow up. And he told me that he saw her come in. He heard the door ding, the little bells on the door.
Hmm.
And she came soaring in and she was in her dress and she went over. The milk was in a glass bottle. So that
Wow.
tells you how long ago it was. I'm not that old, but that's how old he was.
I
And
guess.
she went through the line and shouted out, put it on my tab, and then said the number to the tab. That goes back to the cotton mill where people were paid in coins from the cotton mill.
Yeah.
Okay. And um, you had your own account and it was
Yep.
taken out of your paycheck.
Hey, man.
So she got the milk. And he had to call the police, and the police went to the cemetery and picked the glass bottles up off of her tombstone.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
She was pregnant, and her husband was called to war, and she was the school teacher, and they had just moved to town and just got married, and when they found out she was pregnant, everybody was happy. Dad remembers her, Brindle School, and he was called off to war. She's pregnant, and the neighbors are watching over her. And some vagrant broke into her house, and she startled him. And she started falling down some steps. And when she fell, it messed her up and the baby. And when they got her to the hospital, she died. So that
That's
was
all.
horrible what happened to her. And the same day, her husband died.
Talk
So,
about.
the town was just devastated. But when they buried her, she was in her wedding dress and she had her baby in her arms. So she's getting the milk for a child.
That's amazing.
And
That's an amazing first experience.
yeah, yeah, I thought so too. I saw her, and my uncle told me that he saw her. Now, he was bad. He was in the Navy, and before he went in the Navy, he's a little bit wild. And he said that he and his buddies had a pack of cigarettes, and I don't know what size bottle of alcohol, but whatever it was, they were turning it up in the graveyard. He's the
Yeah.
one that would roll his cigarettes up in his
Yep.
sleeve.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so he said he saw this woman and she was gliding across the cemetery. Now, Uncle Uncle Josh was a funny guy. He made faces similar to Jim Carrey.
Yep.
He could make these silly, crazy faces and make you laugh and just cry laughing. And but when I brought this up, everything was, very somber and scared and pale. And he said, I'll tell you this one time and I'm never telling you again. And he told me that they were throwing rocks at her, trying to stop her and see if they could, is she see-through? Is she transparent and see-through? Or is this a fog, just some fog coming? And they went back the next day and found the rocks on the tombstone.
Wow. That's amazing.
And so, yeah. So, of course I had to go see her. And I would take my bike to her tombstone and I would pick wildflowers, just really blooming grass, really, that I didn't know. And
That's
I'd
a,
always leave it for her. And I don't know, I always just felt really close to her.
that's truly amazing. I mean, to have that profound of an experience as like your first interaction with a spirit is really really cool. So, like, I'm sure as you were getting older, like your gifts would get more and more, like being
They
able
did.
to actually talk to them directly, and communicate verbally as well as through through gestures and whatnot. And then I was reading that when did you start becoming like a shaman? When did you discover that part of your abilities?
When my dad would go to Florida, we would go to Ocala and we would go to Silver Springs. My dad worked for Ross Allen, who owned Ross Allen's Reptile Institute. It was in Silver Springs, Florida. He had glass bottom boats. And let me see if I can grab a picture while we're talking. And so he would take me there and see the Seminole tribe was connected to that institute.
Okay.
They actually did demonstrations
Yeah.
and how their ways, basically Seminole mysticism. And so I was being raised, they were my babysitter when my dad was filming because
Right.
he wrestled alligators for Tarzan movies. And so my dad and my mom are doing their thing, and I'm being raised with these people. And God, the things they taught me were just unbelievable. And they were so gentle with the way they talked to me. And they never doubted that I would not completely understand.
Right.
And, they showed me what a medicine wheel was and how to use it and
Hmm.
how to work with the elements of the earth and how we're part of it. So therefore, it's natural for us to be able to utilize it. It's something that God created,
Okay.
and what flows through us is, part of the universe and in every living thing.
Yeah.
And that, we are all one,
Wow.
that kind of thing. And so it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. The biggest thing is that I learned about animal language.
Okay.
And we were studying the different calls of reptiles, alligators, crocodiles, caiman, trying to decide what call was for what purpose.
Right.
And because sometimes they would make this rumble and the water would just, and that was their little mating thing.
All right.
The alligator male would get up under the female and blow
Oh, of course.
bubbles,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she'd fill them in. And then there's the sound that rumbles really loud,
Yeah.
and that's get back, get out of here. I'm about to come get you.
Right.
And then there's another one that the children calling for mom or dad.
Oh, I've heard that.
And
I've
so
heard that one. Yeah.
yeah, so there, I was learning these different things and learning through the Seminole way how to be able to feel the spirits of different animals
Wow.
and how you can overpower based off of your own energy projection using medicine wheels and stuff like that, or just projection through Great Spirit, how to dominate the situation so that you can overcome adversity that way. You
Right.
can overcome like a panther attack. You can stare them down. So, I was learning all of that, and all of this just kind of transferred in what I'm doing now. I mean, something will happen, and I'll think, where did I get that from? Oh, yeah, I remember so and so teaching me that. Mr. Glover taught me that, or like you get the idea. I mean, it's pretty crazy,
It is
and it's all
amazing.
relative.
It really is. And, being partially of Native American descent myself, that's why I was so interested
Yeah.
in the shamanic abilities. And so I also was reading that you are a Reiki master as well. So did you find that you took to doing Reiki naturally, or did you go through
Well,
classes?
yeah, I didn't know what it was, and my mom was stronger with that than me.
Right.
And she was used to people calling and saying, "Hey, ask Judy to pray for me," and she's just a kid. So Mama Jimmy would have mom pray for him, and things would happen. So she just had a natural healing ability, and so I started learning that. But when I got pregnant with my son, um, I had cancer, and I didn't know that I had it, and I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And the different hormones I was releasing in my body from the pregnancy was actually saving my life as I was um, bringing him into the world. So, it was a beautiful thing. Hey, Nate. So, I started getting really worried there towards the end of the pregnancy. And a friend of mine had been studying Reiki. And she said, "You need to come over here and let me do some healing on you guys." And so Elijah had his first attunement while I was pregnant with him.
Oh,
And
wow.
it went all the way through to a master attunement. And he hadn't even been born yet.
Wow, that's crazy.
So, yeah, he grew up being able to do a lot of stuff and know a lot of things. So,
That's pretty amazing. It
yeah.
really is.
And so that's how I started learning what Reiki was from that standpoint. There's Native American Reiki, but Reiki, as far as what I'm talking about, is the Usui method,
Yeah.
and it's Japanese. But then I studied from a Reiki hospital in India.
Oh, wow. That's pretty amazing. I didn't realize how
It was
many
pretty
different forms of
crazy.
Reiki. I mean, I I've never had it done to me. I know that my wife is very much into. She gets Reiki done every once in a while to help balance her
Yeah,
energies
that's
and help
great.
help get everything going. I definitely could. benefit from it. I'm sure. I haven't gone down that path yet. I just haven't hit that marker. So, hey, yeah, I know that is pretty cool, Jay. So you founded the Family Spirit International with your husband, correct?
Yes.
That's your that's was that when you started doing investigations, like getting involved in actually the investigating part of the paranormal?
Yeah. What I decided to do was go back and do some of my family's investigations.
Oh,
And my husband and I decided to go back with ghost hunting equipment as opposed to, candles and pendulums and compasses, flashlights, that
right.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, what we were able to do coincided so well with what they discovered.
Okay.
And so if you could look at my very first book, Family Spirit, The
Yep.
Origins of Five Generations,
Hmm.
um, you can see where we I talk about what they discovered, and then 20 some odd years later, here goes, you know, me and Matt, to the same place,
Right.
and this is what we're getting. And then how it all came together. I mean, my grandmother was in her 90s and she was doing evidence review with us.
That's pretty
She
cool.
was still going on ghost hunts up until the last year and a half, 2 years of her life.
That really is amazing. So, were you blending your Native American and your family's like holistic as well as the technology as well, and like doing comparing and contrasting, or like what were you how
That's
were you
right.
actually? Yeah,
That's it, exactly. And that's where my book, Victorian Ghost Files Between Heaven and Ectoplasm, that's where that idea came from. Here's the Society for Psychical Research from the Victorian era. These are the techniques that they used and how they did it, but yet this is what they were able to actually capture. It's not all smoke and mirrors. I mean, they actually studied cases for 5 years or longer, and they were able to help solve mysteries of people's murder.
that's
They were
amazing.
able to get the exact name of people. And they didn't have Google. They didn't know who owned the place or who died there. It took a long time to recover all that. So,
Right.
I mean, Houdini and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and Harry Hines, a bunch of people that were a part of that were high thinkers. I was very impressed at when I started uncovering that. I was like, wow, that's intense. So that's one of the reasons why I do use old methods,
It's
even
pretty
now.
it's pretty amazing. I mean,
Mhm.
I when I found the list of books, I'm sure I don't even have all of them listed. I tried to get as many listed down so I could talk to you
Mhm.
about some of the various books that you've written. Now I knew the Family Spirit book was the first one because actually when I first met you was in Quincy, Massachusetts at Mass Paracon, and we clicked right off the bat. We were
Yes, we
talking.
did.
It was really an amazing time, and then you gave me a copy of your book, and I read it several years ago. It's hard for me to recall things now because it's so hot and
That's
everything in my,
okay.
in my brain. But that actually looks like it spawned quite a few books, and I want to talk to you about a few of them that actually caught my eye, and maybe you could talk about a little bit about them because
Sure.
they're really so. Um, the haunted objects, the possessions that refuse to die book. What brought that one upon your interest?
So I started binge watching paranormal shows, COVID 2020.
Uh-huh.
And so my husband and I were kind of sitting around and enjoying some stuff. And I saw the rescue mediums on YouTube. If you haven't seen these ladies, you should.
Okay.
And one lady, Jackie Dennison, I was watching her specifically, and the way she handled either objects or places or spirits and how she did her reading, I was like, oh my God, you're real. I was so thrilled. I was standing up in the middle of the bed. Matt, did you see her? That's what I do. And I don't know, it just gave me so much affirmation that I had to talk to her. So I found her on Facebook and I was like, yo, Jackie, what's up? I'm watching you right now and I do what you do. And we started talking and tears of joy, all the things that us girls do. And she asked me to be on her show. So again, we had that wonderful moment where we really connected and she asked me things and if I didn't know it, she would tell me, or if she didn't know it, she would tell me, or I wish I could do that. That's my aspiration in the future. I mean, we were just very transparent. And then I got a phone call from her a couple weeks later at about midnight, and she said, "Are you interested in filming?" And I'm like, "What?" So, yeah, I guess. And so I pulled my hair back and put on a bra, and because I was in the bed, put on some lipstick, and that was just kind of crazy. And I got on StreamYard, not StreamYard, it was Teams,
Okay.
and I interviewed for a show. I didn't have any way of knowing. And luckily, I had figured out how to do it because I've been talking to Jackie, and she's the one that referred me. So I got the part, and then when I got there, we just he they sat me down. Can you do this or can you do that? Or you said that you could do this. Are you sure? And I got to meet the rest of the team, and I found out that they had actually watched my work too. And I thought, well, that's cool. So we're going to be able to work really well together. And we went on some warm up ghost hunts, and then off we went. And we traveled 6 months doing our thing.
That's pretty cool.
And yeah, so the way that I do it, it's kind of like sonar. I do Reiki
Hmm.
with my eyes closed, and I push energy through it. And when I can isolate something within it or connected to it, then I use like an empathy type of ability to, what am I feeling? What does this make me feel like? And then I can go from there. Sometimes it'll just open right up and talk to me. Other times I can tell it's just a flash of a memory. It's not
Okay.
really anything that's conscious.
Oh, wow.
It's just a little moment of chaos or a moment of happiness or loneliness. And a lot of the older toys that I touched surprisingly were really sad because a lot of children had to be isolated in the hospital, and the only thing they had was that toy. So
Wow.
I was very shocked at that. Yeah, I was really shocked. That hurt. But, those memories were in there. It wasn't anybody feeling it still, so that's good.
That's really amazing. I mean, then you wrote, there's another book that really come out. It was So You Think Your Kid is Psychic. And
That's fun.
that book title, even like the cover is a very catchy cover. Um,
Thank you.
Tell me about that one. Like, what made you decide to write a book about finding out if your kid is psychic? Or
Yeah, well, I started experiencing, well, first I'd experienced the knowledge of my grandmother and great grandmother, mother
of
coming
course,
down to me, and so now it's my turn to pass it on.
right?
But the kids it took all of us to deal with the kids because
Yeah,
they weren't held back at all. They didn't have any social anxiety about it. They just knew not to talk about it outside of the house because I didn't know what people would do. I didn't know what they would say to them.
right.
But otherwise, yeah, we had it all taken care of in the house. So it was just a real big support. And then people started asking me, well, does your child do this? Or do they, have they had this experience? What do you do when they say this? And I'm like, well, and I'd start breaking it down. And I thought, gosh, this is getting to be a thing. And I said, okay, that's it. If I just explain some of the cases that I went through as a mom with these kids and what my mom experienced with me, um, and then Blaine has some and Gwen has some,
Yeah,
um, maybe it'll help other people realize what is actually true. They
that's
don't
really
have
cool.
to hide it, you know?
Yeah, no, that's really it's amazing because I mean, I haven't seen the book. I think I have a few of the books. I don't think I have that one because I like my kids are so old, a lot older now, and they're not into the metaphysical stuff. So I don't think that it would quite interest them as much as so much as I would hope that it would. But and then there was one I gotta be honest, with you, every book that I find that has a 101 attached to it, I always have to ask about it because it fascinates me. Parapsychology 101. And you wrote a book about parapsychology. Can you tell me about that one? Because every book that when I see a 101, it intrigues me. So
It does me too. I love 101. It's like, okay, break it down Flintstone style for me to understand. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So this is what I intended to do with that book. I started teaching parapsychology, and instead of trying to find somebody else's book and study it and figure it out and then ask people to buy it and stuff like that, I said, shoot, I'm going to write this. So
Okay.
I started from the very top and I researched when was the first paranormal experience documented.
Hmm.
And I found it all the way back in Greece. And it was his name was Pliny Younger, and he was an accountant. And he bought his house in Greece. It was super cheap. The guy that had it before just disappeared. I mean, the town actually took the house back over.
Yeah.
And so Pliny is sitting in there and he's got his lamp on, he's doing his work, and he looks up and there's a man standing there. And he's walking through the house. Lenny's watching him go by. Next night, same thing. Third night, same thing. And so he looked at him and said, "What do you want?" And the guy points in in the yard. They
Yep.
go out to the yard and he points down at the ground. So Lenny calls the cops. Cops come and start digging a hole and they find his body there. Somebody had killed him
Oh my
and
God.
buried him in his own backyard. And it's
Wow.
documented. So, yeah, I thought, hey, it doesn't, this whole thing goes way back much further. I mean, we can go to Egypt and look at this. We can see it in the Aztecs. We can see it in the Native American religion or mysticism. But to hear it in Greece, nobody expected that, but it is documented. So, I just start from there and I go through different scenarios of what's been documented, and then I start talking about types of hauntings
Okay.
and some of my theories of why they exist.
Nice.
Even the hauntings that happen because people believe that they're there and they're created, artificial haunting, and which I guess you would call a topa.
Okay.
Yeah, but we just call it artificial haunting. It was a little easier for people to understand. Yeah, we just went through and talk about the different equipment and what it measures and why that is the case. Why do we need to measure magnetic fields when it comes to the paranormal? It's
That's
because we're talking about electricity. We're talking about, yeah, so we had to break it down. And
that's
it was
pretty cool.
fun. Thank you. And it's a journal inside too. So as you study something, then you stop and there's questions and you can answer your own questions of what you were thinking. Is this what you expected? That kind of stuff. So it
Oh,
kind of leads you through it.
I feel like I'm gonna have to get a copy of that next time I see you. Hopefully, it's interesting because it's always good
Thank
to
you.
learn something new, or not just necessarily learn something new, but learn different ways to approach certain things. Because
I
sometimes
even
you
have
go
some
headlong
pictures
into it.
in there.
Well, yeah,
Yeah. There's this one lady and she's a spirit and she's a photo bomber. And people are trying to take pictures through town, and she was known when she was alive to jump out, like photobombing.
yeah,
And she's still showing up on these pictures. And so that's a type of haunting. Then
that's
there's some
crazy.
others that there was one that the lady was murdered and she started showing up in
Wow.
pictures with the family, showing up in town having pictures made. And her brother had murdered her and stuck her in the freezer.
It's really cool. I mean, you have a couple other ones, but I'm going to do one more, and then I got a couple other things I definitely want to touch base with you on.
Okay.
Spiritual grounding and shielding, something that I am horrible about doing, and something that I always should be doing more of because I'm always open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't shut myself down because I decided that I wanted to experience as much as I possibly could and learn as much as I can.
Yeah.
But that's also a double-edged sword because if you're open all the time, you could be susceptible to, who knows what could latch on you here, there, or anywhere. So you actually wrote a book about spiritual grounding and shielding.
I
Um,
did. The spiritual grounding and shielding is my husband's, that's his forte. He's great at teaching it. But basically, if our body, our chakras are basically they're like an electric panel in your house with the different fuses that snap across. And
okay,
once each one of your chakras are making connection, then everything is working like it should. But
yeah,
sometimes your chakras get out of alignment or you don't have the right electricity. Maybe you've been around someone or something that is very negative, or you're ill, you know, you've had surgery, you've had anesthesia. Just a lot of things that can take you out of your normal
Right.
electronic field. And grounding and shielding takes all of that. Like when my mom passed, I had so much grief and so much negative energy that some negative energies started coming to me.
Right.
And it's because I was grieving, I was angry.
Mhm.
And so therefore I was putting that out, and that's what, like energies connect. And
Right.
so I had to kind of shake it and say, no, I'm not going to do that, and start re I had to ground. I had to push a lot of things into the ground and let it neutralize, because
That's
the
okay.
earth is a neutralizer. It's got the negative and the positive, and
Right.
it's meant to take all of that and then pull from the earth what I needed. It's
Yep.
like a prayer, but it's an actual moment of you consciously saying, I release everything that doesn't serve me to my best, and I call back my energy. And so you're just pushing it down, let it wash over you and neutralize. And then you're thinking about your earth, wind, fire, water. Earth is your body, and water is your blood. There's air in your breath and fire in your spirit. So it's all of these things, and you're saying, I am alive, and you're regenerating yourself. It's a beautiful way to heal too.
It's amazing, and I mean, I understand what you went through because I lost my mother years ago to cancer, unfortunately, and then my father about 2 years ago now to strokes and complications of that.
Oh,
So,
I'm so
so
sorry. I didn't realize
the
you'd lost both.
yeah, the grieving
Oh,
process was ridiculous, and I actually got like real like help from a therapist. But I mean, I wish I had read something like this. It would definitely would have helped when you don't have that person available to have some sort of guide that can help you like figure out how to channel your negative energy and your grieving and everything, and try to turn it around. And so yeah, the amazing amount of books you got going on, and I would definitely want. The next thing I want to talk about was actually the TV shows that you have been involved in. Obviously, hey Becky, how you doing? First and foremost, Repossessed, which was the TV show. It's currently on Hulu. I found it on there the other day, and I remember. Do you remember watching it when it was released? What was your experience like working on a TV show like Repossessed?
wow. It's like boot camp, man. It was like boot camp. I never knew where I was going. I'd get a ticket and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to, and I'm looking again, oh, I'm going to Florida, you know, that kind of thing. And I wonder what I'm doing there. And I don't know until I'm on the road.
Right,
Somebody else was driving when we got picked up, and we'd all rally at one place, and next thing I know, off we go. And it was just, we had from the time we got up until the time we went to bed, it was step by step by step. And but what we did was not scripted.
right,
It was not scripted. There's a part that was when we talk about the history of a place,
right.
because you have to know that. I mean, it's not going to change. Those are the facts.
Yep.
But then after that, whatever happened happened.
Okay.
And there's a lot of objects that I got, people gave me, that never made it on the show.
Right.
And so I have Haunted Object Lab. And so I've got it set up to where people can go through the lab, and there's a QR code, and we can track, what kind of person they are, how old they are, their ethnicity, if they feel they have any psychic ability, and then what they feel at each station.
Right.
And we're compiling that information to see, like there was one lady that was from Turkey, and there was a military artifact that I have that's from there. And she got really emotional around it. And
Okay.
if we didn't know the history of it, we wouldn't understand the why it reached out to her heartstrings. So, you
Right.
know, we've been very blessed.
I mean, I
But
remember. I remember like seeing like the lines of people holding their objects to come up and have you guys analyze them and whatnot. And I think there was even an episode in Massachusetts that they did at the Murdoch Whitney. I think it was the Murdoch Whitney Isaac Morse house. And,
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh man, that was crazy. Oh my gosh, we filmed in there twice. Um, and part of it we were in a garage just doing the road show for someone. We weren't
Oh,
actually featuring the home. And it was so active. I mean, active
yes.
that the cameramen that had come in from Oak Island, they were on break from filming at Oak Island, so they came
Right.
over to us to film.
Hmm.
They had their mounts so they could hang their cameras because they were shaking and it was affecting the quality of the camera. So
Wow.
they had to use their harnesses. I mean, imagine going from Oak Island, which is, a pretty precarious place to start with, but
Yep.
now stuff's moving and shit's hitting the fan, man.
Exactly. You know, and
So,
somebody who's actually been to the Isaac Morse several times and investigated there, communicated. I hate the word investigator. I'm more of a paranormal communicator, so I like to talk to the spirits directly and do my thing. And the Isaac Morse is a beautiful making move south. Hey, good. Um, the Isaac Morse house across the street and the actual Murdoch Whitney,
yeah,
it's extremely active, extremely active.
very much so.
And
Yes.
did you? This was a question I had wanted to ask you because for some reason it was just hit my mind as I was thinking about it. When you had those objects actually in the house, because I know there was a part that they would actually do them like in like the dining area or where they had to use it. I was familiar with the area that they were talking. Did you
Oh,
experience
excuse
any
me.
clash of energies between the object people were bringing into the house and the actual entities in the house not wanting that stuff in there in the first place? Were you yourself experiencing those that conflict? I was feeling the conflict just watching the TV shows. I was kind of curious, you being there in the moment,
Yes.
what were your experiences like that?
We were in Moncton and they put two haunted objects in the same building, in the same room, and it just went nuts. It was a spinning wheel and it was flying and something knocked all of my crystals off the table. They're rolling, bouncing, going down the steps. And I mean, it just hit the fan all over. And, that does happen. I took one of my haunted objects into the Savannah, um, Haunted Object Museum and their doll was trying to bully mine. She was horrible. And, I just had to separate them. I was like, you cannot talk to her that way.
Right.
So, they do clash. There was a doctor that had taken advantage of a patient. I guess I'll say it that way.
That's fair.
And it was a um, Chase Lounge, and so the Chase Lounge was
Yep.
haunted, but then the spinning wheel on the other side of the room was haunted. And so when it's like one jumped and then the other one took off too. And so the cameramen were trying to catch all this going on and we
Wow.
were hearing stuff going on the portal.
Yep.
Like I said, my stuff got knocked and it was a mess. I mean, we had to really work with the girl, the spirit that had been victimized
Right.
to honestly set her free. It was a mess, but I was glad we were there for her.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard, especially when you have when you have objects that you know are enchanted or haunted, however you want to describe it, and then going into a room that obviously has a presence in there, whether it's attached to an object or just the building itself, or somebody that's in the room, because everybody has energies attached to them and whatnot and so forth. But
And
yeah, it's so that show ran for how many episodes did that show run for?
8.
8 episodes.
It
Yeah.
was 8. Yeah, and Disney Channel bought out the History Channel, and then the Writers Guild and the actors, everybody went on strike, and
Yeah.
it's just everything got turned upside down. It was right after COVID too, so money was kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were set up to have another series,
Yeah.
another a whole season. But that's okay.
Sometimes it was a perfect storm of shit, to be perfectly honest with you, between the COVID and everything, then the world being shut down because of it, and then the actors strikes
Hmm.
and all of that. It was amazing how everything just fell apart all at once.
All at once.
So the next show I want to
But
talk
that's
about was
okay.
your appearance on Monster Quest. most recently,
That's so much fun.
you know,
Yep.
if you wanted to give us a brief story about your experience on Monster Quest.
Well, my mom and I had my mom, dad, and I went when I was a child to see Uncle Ross at Ross Allen's Reptile Institute one summer, and we that was a common thing for us. And so we went, and mom and I were staying. You can see my dog. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
But we were staying in a camper out near the compound where everybody lived. The institute was over here, but there was a compound, and the mobile homes were all connected.
Right.
And in the middle was like a picnic tables where everybody got together and we ate or we had meetings and stuff like that. So we were, there, but we were setting up our camp, and Dad had gone into the compound, and Mom had no cell phones. We had walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
So everything was looking good. And then here I am out on a pier, and I'm doing alligator calls. And because I had been studying them, I was just telling you about that. And I called and I practiced and I did bird calls and I did cat calls and all kinds
Mhm.
of stuff. And Mom called me in for dinner. So she had been outside cooking instead of in the camper. It was so darn hot. And then finally it was time for me to go to bed. So I'm in the bed, and here I am calling and all just all these noises of animals coming out of my mouth, and here's Mom outside cooking, and so naturally, you know, chaos is about to break loose.
Right.
I'm laying in the bed and I've got my head backwards and I'm playing with the screen like that. And it would open like that, like the
Yep.
school vents used to back in
Like
the
a,
day.
yeah.
And we had it open so that the wind would blow over the bed. And I was playing with the screen and all of a sudden a little hand came up and I had my fingers like this and we were scratching on the screen together. And he had pink fingertips that were a lot like the color of mine,
Right.
but across here it was black, and he had black hair coming out of the back of his hand, and his nails were super thick, and you could see matted dirt and like nails that were really broken off, but
Wow.
had never been cut, so it was packed with dirt, and the smell was pretty bad.
Ooh.
And so, but I mean, I was wanting to play with him.
Yep.
And, I didn't have a problem with it. I've been taught things that would normally frighten you, how to manage my emotions so that they wouldn't take over.
Right.
And so, I was doing that, and then all of a sudden, Mom saw the hand scratching, looked over, and she screamed, I screamed, it screamed, and then everything hit the fan. He started shaking the camper, wanting to play. He's mad because I, made a mistake and he wasn't happy anymore.
Right.
And so, yeah, it got really bad. And every time he would shove the camper, um, we would scream. And then Mom said, we're a squeak toy. And I'm like, what? She said, every time he pushes, we scream. Don't scream. And so she's holding my mouth. I'm holding hers because we just couldn't control ourselves. And we ended up in the floor, and finally we ended in the bathroom. And it really wasn't big enough for one person, much less two, but somehow we were in there. And
Wow.
God, it was hot. With that door shut, it was hot. And all of a sudden, we heard an adult sound come out, like him, but it was obviously a female voice.
Oh wow.
And obviously, she was communicating. And he talked back to her. And she got louder and he got really loud and sounded very determined. And then all of a sudden, whack! And I heard him hit the trailer or camper. And then I heard him falling and I felt the camper, and then he went past the back of the camper.
Hmm.
And when he did, the hair and blood got on the license plate.
Oh wow.
And he was making like "Whoa" sounds, and she was basically saying, come along, come along.
Yeah.
So Mom finally got Dad on the walkie-talkie. God, that was horrible, bless him. And because Mom was going to kill him, and all the scientists showed up in their lab coats and they're taking samples and whatnot.
Yeah.
So interestingly, that same summer, let me pop this up for you. This is a piece of legislation by the House of Representatives. You can see that at the top.
Yep.
And this is a piece of legislation to protect skunk apes because what I had experienced was a skunk ape. And you see at the top here, cruelty to animals. And that
Okay.
was listed. And they were called humanoids. Okay,
Huh.
there's another piece. And so, um, if the government in Florida thought enough of this situation, and the Seminole were already talking about, because they were communicating with them and talking about what they were
Right.
concerned about with these creatures,
Hmm.
and there was legislation actually created to protect them from being tortured, molested, and
Wow.
I think it's really eye-opening that legislation had to be created to protect them from us.
Well, they do say that human beings are the most dangerous animal on the planet, but
And there it is.
there's many reasons for that. You know,
Yeah.
so TV star, Reiki Master,
Uh,
Paranormal Investigator, all these wonderful things, and which is going to lead into the chapter that I really want to talk about tonight, which is the creation of the All Access Network and where we all are today. It's an
yes.
amazing, to me, it's an amazing group of people who have a cavalcade of shows that span many, many different things. And what made you decide that you actually wanted to create your own network? Like, what made you decide
Yeah.
what was the creation of All Access Network?
Well, when I started filming Repossessed, I noticed that I had a bigger following. And after it released, it got bigger. And all of a sudden I had just gotten on Instagram and I had 15,000 and 16,000 people following me. And TikTok, same thing. And Facebook, same thing. I had to make another Facebook page because everything got filled up. And I thought, if I don't get another season after all of this, what am I going to do with all this? And long years back, over a decade ago, I was the vice president, or I wasn't the CEO, but I was, like the assistant
Right.
um, to Best TV Network, BTVN.
Okay.
And Hurricane Sandy came along and just blew everything down. And the guy that was running it, it was his show. He started taking the shows down. And I did manage to get a few of mine before he did that, but he didn't have the servers. He didn't have the ability to keep going. He had to move. There
Yep.
was just a lot of things that happened, and it just wasn't the right timing for me in my life. And
Right.
I always said I'll do it again. Well, I was asked to be on somebody's show. Jack Harry asked me to be on his show, and his producer couldn't get everything running. He just couldn't get it off the ground. And Jack was flipping out. This is the second time, and I'm so embarrassed in front of Lee. And I was thinking, So I downloaded the free version of StreamYard and said, here, click this, we'll do your show. And he clicked it and we did the whole show. And he was like, wow, Lee, that was crazy. I can't believe you did that. And I said, I can't believe I did it either. And it just started. Um, and then people started coming and I figured, hey, I was able to film. I was able to do some fun stuff. I bet other people would like to do that too. They've got a voice. They have some ideas. They're unique people. They deserve to have a voice. Not everybody is going to have a mainstream voice like normal TV.
Right.
So I said, I'm going to invite my friends and I want them all to be very different because they can't be replaced. I wanted them to be unique. And that's where every story, every voice, all access came from. I just wanted
It's
everybody to feel comfortable and have their voice. I took it from a tribal standpoint. Everybody contributes, and we are stronger together.
it's
So,
really it's an amazing thing. And I've been here since January of this year, with Twisted Tales going on like 6 months into it, which is pretty amazing. I didn't expect to do this as long as
Yeah.
I wasn't even
You
I
were
wasn't even
meant
sure.
to do this.
What's that?
You
Yeah,
were meant to do this. The
you know,
day I met you and saw you, just a big man, and you just got such a gentle, kind heart. I was like, gosh, what a message just to be able to talk to people. He would just be so great.
you
So
know what?
yeah, I'm glad you're with us.
I truly enjoy being here on the network. You have two shows that you host yourself alongside Blaine Rohan and our amazing
And
producer
Gwen,
Gwen Johns, and who
she's so
is
precious.
is the motor behind the machine. She does so much
She
behind the
is.
scenes for so many people. It's amazing, and I tell her that I appreciate her every single day because of all the hard work
I
that
do
she
too.
for everybody's shows. She does an
Mhm.
amazing job. I mean, and
Yeah, I put it together and then said, I'm not going to be able to do this by myself. I'm
yeah,
working a full-time job. And she said, I'll do it. And I just kind of handed things over to her and I said, let's do it together. And that's how it went.
it's cool. And you have the family spirit with you and Blaine and Gwen on Monday nights, and you
Yeah.
also.
We've been doing that almost 14 seasons.
Yeah, because I mean, I was actually on that show several years ago with when it was just you and Blaine and myself, and I think I went on primarily. We were talking about the professional wrestling side of my stuff and all
That's
of that
right.
kind
That
of
was
thing.
so fun.
It really was. And now you have a secondary show, which was turned because originally it was paranormal true crime crossover, and now you guys are
Yeah.
full blown into the cryptid with Cryptid Nations, and
Yeah, we were doing serial killer supernatural murders, and Tom
yes,
Wormley was with us.
yep,
And gosh, it was so much fun. But he was doing a lot of work with these cases, and I was doing as much history background as I could. And then I started picking up on some things psychically. But there's a lot to it, and it takes a lot to do those kinds of cases.
right.
And Tom said he had a vision to do some things himself. Originally, it was only supposed to be six shows.
Right.
Three
Okay.
years later, you know, we decided to go back to what he wanted to do. And then I did supernatural murders, where ghosts have
Right.
actually solved their own murders for a short time. And then we just bounced over to Cryptid Nation. I think that was the way to go.
It really is. And you all have a great chemistry. It's
Thank
you
you.
know, and Cryptid Nations is definitely cryptids are definitely a hot button topic these days.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
And you guys have great shows like Len has his show, and
He's awesome.
yeah, and then Rez has his show on Tuesday nights, and then obviously Wicked
Let's see.
Wednesdays. What's that?
Yeah, so we have Mystic Monday,
There you go.
Robin Marie, and then us, and then Raven and Christopher J. Brown. We
Yeah,
have that one. That's
yeah,
Manic Mystic Monday. Where's
yeah,
Wicked Wednesday? Here it is.
yeah. That's
Oh, there
that,
we
that,
are.
that's our baby. We have Christina Bloom's Paramystic, podcast, and then we have Bridging the Seen and Unseen with Shane on a 6:30,
Yes,
and then the one previous to me, my boy Nathaniel Elwell with Paranormal Unveiled with Gwen
I
as his
love him.
co-host. And then
Yeah,
obviously we
great people.
have myself on Twisted Tales at 9:30, and then tomorrow I I think who's on tomorrow. Oh God, Thursdays always mess up my head. It's
Yeah, me too. Trying to
well,
remember Thursday.
well, I know Thomas was on Thursday. I think he just did a season
Yeah,
finale of his show recently.
yeah, he's going to be on the road a while, so he's stopped the podcast for a minute.
Yeah,
Oh, by the way, guess what? Blaine got his books in the mail today.
I know. I got to hit him
Got
up for
his
an
new book.
autographed copy of his book. It'd be kind of cool to check that out.
You're
Definitely.
gonna like it.
Yeah,
When you read it, you're gonna hear him saying it,
I can
and
definitely
then you're
I can
gonna
definitely see
cry
that.
and you're gonna laugh. Yeah. Oh, and I just turned mine in today, and it's called Bewitched Book of Boo Bites, and
Okay.
it's a fun book. It's a cookbook, and it's got gentle stories in there and coloring pages, gentle spooky stories and recipes
That's pretty cool.
of appetizers and desserts. I just wanted something fun,
You
you
know,
know?
just in time to rock it into the fall season at the towards the end of the summer.
Yeah,
And people are going to be looking for all sorts of kind of cool stuff like that to do around the holidays, Thanksgiving and
yeah.
Halloween and whatnot. Yeah,
There's some
that really
decoration
is.
ideas in it too.
And we also have the Radicals who do their show once a month. The
Oh God, yeah, I
Creepy
love them.
Chronicles. I love those two. They're like family to me as well. And Sean has his show on Sunday nights with the ex Wolfpack, and
Very talented.
it's really a great group of people on the network, and it always changes, it always evolves, and that's the best part about it, and everybody works with everybody, and everybody helps each other out when they can, and that's the
Yeah, we
best
all
part.
love each other very much. This is a tribe.
And
Everybody contributes, and we
I'm
love
very
each
proud
other.
of to be part of this. We started talking about having me come on the network at Salem Con last year. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. Next thing I'm getting messages. So what are we gonna call the show? When are we gonna start? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. Next thing you know, here I am. And I love it.
And you're knocking it dead, man. People love your show.
It's a lot of hard work, and you see, I promote like crazy every single day. I'm putting stuff
I
out there.
appreciate it so
You know,
much. Just tag me and everything, and I'll tag you and stuff. That's what it takes. Well, we are stronger together, all of us.
Absolutely. And so to finish up before we get out, you have some events coming up. Well, why don't you plug the
Yes,
events? So let's plug the
yes.
events
I
that you're
have
going to
some
be at.
events. I have some events coming up. Yes,
Yeah.
Twisted Tales rocks. Thank you. You're
Thank you, Matt.
right. Um, so also we've got some big growth coming for All Access Network. So just be standing by. It's going to be
Uh,
incredible. All right, so Haunted Object Roadshow. I'm going to be doing what I did on the TV show, Repossessed, at Deep South Paracomic Con, August 8th and 9th in um,
nice.
Enterprise, Alabama. So that'll be one of the things we'll be doing.
Very
The
cool.
first one that starts my season is Gettysburg Battlefield Bash at the
Okay.
Eisenhower Hotel, July the 24th through the 26th. It's going to be awesome.
Yep.
Um, I think it's going to be fantastic because we've got a whole. Did you see all those faces?
Oh,
Wow,
it's absolutely. I know many, many faces on that board. That's for sure. The
yeah,
Battlefield Bash. I've been there before several years. Pam and Steve and their group put on an amazing event every single year, and you guys
every
definitely
single
have
year.
an amazing time there, no doubt for sure.
And something very interesting. I'm doing New Orleans Paracomic Con, and
Okay,
I'm teaching Parapsychology 101.
nice.
And it's going to be pretty intense because it's in the French Quarter, and so we're going to be right in the middle of right in the middle of haunted, Central right there.
Right.
And I'll be doing two ghost hunts. Friday night is the Voodoo House. Saturday is Andrew Jackson.
Okay.
So it's going to be really intense.
Matt is a good
Yes,
time,
please
definitely.
come. Yes, that's awesome. Um, so let's see, where are we? The last one that was the Deep South Paracon I was telling you about,
Yeah.
and
I
then
think Mass.
MassCon is
Yep. There it
October.
is. Mass Paracon. Yep.
So that's a lot. And listen, if you guys could help my friend out, she's the executive producer of the History Channel. Her name is Laura Marini. She is the executive producer of A Haunting and consulting producer for Fight Club and Most Haunted Places, season 7 and 8. And she was the senior producer and lead writer for Monster Quest. And also, she did the what is it, Unbelievable with
Yep.
Dan Aykroyd. And you see all the other things she's done. She is teaching something fascinating. Now that you've greenlit yourself, here's a paranormal content creator guide. And this is on Eventbrite, and it starts July 8th. That's going to be a really good workshop. I have one too that's starting, unfortunately, same day. I didn't mean to do it. Your psychic connection, and we're going to be doing some remote viewing. We're going to look at some of the CIA declassified documents of how remote viewing was done, and we're going to do it ourselves. See what happens.
That's
Grounding and
awesome.
shielding's part of it.
That is truly amazing. You've got your hand in very, very many things, and many, many hats on that hat rack for sure. You know.
Thank you. And you're always welcome. Anywhere I'm going, come on, bring your wife. Let's roll.
Oh, I know. She loves all of this kind of stuff too. She's the reason I got into the paranormal in the first place. And
She's a
so
wonderful person.
I usually end the evening on the little thing where I usually talk about like people's Mount Rushmores of horror characters. If you're into the horror kind of genre.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
I
if you could enlighten me, what's your Mount Rushmore of horror characters?
Something about Maleficent is enchanting to me because she is an anti-hero.
Yeah.
You know, you can really have a bad day with her. She can definitely sock it to you. But then
Oh,
on
she
the flip
can.
side of it, there's something very charming about the old broad, you know? I love anti-heroes.
Yeah.
But I just love her. I love her strength. I love she can fly. I love that she can love even though she never really had a chance to before.
Right.
And she's loyal. But then I also love the fact she can do a smackdown if she needs to.
Good.
You know?
All right. We got
It's
Maleficent.
pretty cool, but when it comes to horror, that's more of a fairy tale type thing. When it comes to horror,
She's dark. She can count if you want to count her. Yeah.
she can count. I like the show The Grudge.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason why is because this is a creature that is going from one generation to another, one family member to another. It's following people,
Yep.
and it's like a curse.
Right.
It's like a curse. And if you can see spirits and you know that they're not going anywhere, they have to be addressed. It kind of looks like that black tar,
Right.
kind of like the shaking movement of like a cat's whiskers, and like what you see, the twitch, and ooh, woo, that's gross.
Oh,
That's awful.
Samara from The Grudge. Yeah. The
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, she's pretty cool.
Jason's sexy. Let's just face it. Jason, the big broad chest, and he
Yep.
got screwed, man. He was a kid, and look what happened to him.
It's true.
So,
All right. So we got
yeah.
Maleficent, we got Samara, we got Jason, and you need one more for the Mount Rushmore. Who else? Who else you gonna put on your list?
Oh, okay. Have you ever seen the movie Babadook?
Yes.
Something about that movie somewhere between that one and well, I'm really close with Andrea Perrin, and
Yep.
she wrote The Conjuring, right? And I do consider that to be a horror movie. The
Yep.
second Conjuring that was in UK,
Right.
holy crap, that is a incredible story. I know that it's a theatrical representation, but
Right.
oh my God. And the spirit oh, they were having to deal with in that house, and how it literally almost killed everybody. Wow. And I've had some cases that have been really violent like that, but it's never gotten the best of me like that. And I think
No.
that's a fear of mine. So,
That's an amazing lineup. I always find it interesting to ask that question because everybody's answers are always very varied and different. Because sometimes you get like the big four, you get the most popular ones, but then you get some that really make you think, and make you have to put some effort through it. And I appreciate everything that you do. I appreciate you bringing this
thank
amazing
you.
network, and that we all get to be on this thing together. I'm going to be August 1st. I'm going to be at the Paracon in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I'm going to be plugging the show and the network and everything like that.
Please.
it's gonna be a wonderful time, and hopefully I'll catch you at least at Mass Paracon. Hopefully other
Oh
somewhere
yeah.
along those too. So everybody, this is Leitreanna Terry Brown, the CEO. I'm Jeremy Cotter. This has been Twisted Tales. Gwen, take us home.